Research says resilience and grit determine quality of life in a crisis. But what is resilience? Who are the ordinary people doing extraordinary things while staying healthy and safe during COVID? How do they persevere with passion in the middle of a public health crisis? Join us as they share their stories and show us everything.
I'm Jimmy G along with Kyle Ward. This is Show Us Everything. Creativity is the vaccine. Kyle, it's going to be a fun night.
It is going to be a fun night. It's crazy to reflect on all the great episodes we've had so far, some of the wonderful guests. Just how you said, a Georgetown professor made a study that says that creativity is the vaccine, and that is extremely evident in all the guests we've had the pleasure of interviewing this time. Huh?
Yeah, absolutely. Creativity is the vaccine. And creativity, we're both creative guys in our respective professions, and the people that we've gone out and about to interview, it helps them, kids and adults throughout New Jersey during this pandemic.
Right, isn't that right? I mean, I got to interview a producer, comedian, in Siobhan Fallon Hogan, a very talented actress who's been in so many great films. I got to meet with June and Joy, who are very talented home decor decorators. They make pillows, handbags, all kinds of different things of various colors, shapes, and sizes.
That's fun, yeah. And to wrap up the episode tonight, I had the fortunate chance to interview Dr. Lakshmi Nadaminti. She's the president of the New Jersey State Youth Orchestra. In addition, we sat down and talked to conductor Leo, who does great work. And thanks to you for being a part of it. And this is Show Us Everything. Let's have a great night.
We're in a gorgeous, gorgeous studio with Joy. How are you today? Thanks for having us.
Thank you for coming. Thank you for interviewing us. My name is Joy, and I'm part of June and Joy. This is our studio / workshop / factory.
So yeah, what exactly are you making? We see handbags.
Yeah, we make a lot of things, but we are focusing on bags, handbags right now. Belts, bracelets, pillows, and vases.
And so how many years have you been working?
We started 2017.
Okay.
And we started from there. I went to FIT. I studied a little bit about fashion. And after that, June and I, we decided to start a business.
So this show, being about amazing people, it's about the COVID-19 pandemic, right?
Yes.
And so you've been in business for a few years, but how have you had to pivot and adapt to the last year, right? Everything's changed. What have you done differently? How have you adapted?
At the beginning, we used to do a lot of shows, pop-ups, but because of pandemic, we were not able to do that. And a lot of people are still spending a lot of time at home. And so we decided to come up with the home decor.
Cool.
Because we love to make our house beautiful, to beautify our house, and a lot of people I found out they like to do the same thing.
What does creativity mean to you, especially in these times, right?
When I create something from the beginning to the end, I look at it, it's like, wow, I cannot believe I create that.
That's awesome.
It give me joy. It give me, I don't want to, pleasure.
No, you're proud of it. It's
Yeah, I'm
something
proud of it,
you made
and,
this thing. That's like when I create a song and we look at it at the end of the day and it's like, wow, we made this. We played the instruments, we got the mix right. You're creating, you're stitching it, you're coming up with the colors, and then the culmination of your ideas at the end of the day, it's this physical thing.
How you
just keeping motivated, doing stuff,
and
projects.
It's good for your soul, it's good for your heart,
Yeah,
it's therapeutic to me.
No.
It's therapy, it's my drug, and it's my vaccine during this pandemic.
That's
Honestly,
awesome.
I look at it like it's passion, love, pride, pleasure,
All right.
satisfaction.
I see it oozing
all
out
that
of you.
stuff.
It's making me
when it
feel
comes
good.
down to it, it's a joy
Right.
to build up something from nothing to the end of it. And
That's
when I look
spectacular.
around from the garden to downstairs, the pillows and the flowers and the painting, whatever you're doing, just take your pride and joy and you'll be fine. Honestly, shift your negativity to positivity and create something.
So the company is June and Joy, right?
Yes.
And you're Joy. So
I'm the
tell me
Joy.
about June.
I'm the joy of the June
You're
and
the
Joy. June is my sister, and we are partners. Partners for everything. We do stuff together. We create stuff up here. We bounce ideas back and forth,
Right.
and sometimes ideas work and sometimes it doesn't. But
Right.
at the end of the day, we're partners.
We're going to interview her as well, ask some questions. So you've been a joy so far.
Oh, thank you. And you've been great.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Stay tuned for more. All right, guys, so now we're back and we're with June. How are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm great. I just had a good time with your sister. We learned a little, and so I want to learn more. Why don't you tell me, first of all, where are you guys from? Like, what's your origin story?
So we are from Tanzania. We came from Tanzania about 20 years ago. Okay. So that's where I'm from.
So the virus happens.
Yeah.
You're very close with your sister.
Yes.
Because we know the businesses you've had to cope and you know you pivoted to home decor, but like what about the family relationships and all that personal stuff?
We were always close, but I think we've gotten much closer, and you got to know each other much better than before. The kids were home. They used to go to school and have lunch there, so the same thing, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. It was hard at the beginning, but as we came together, we needed to make it a little bit more fun and interesting.
So I want to ask you what creativity means to you, especially in these times.
So creativity, I look at it as even if you don't know what you're doing, but you have an idea, a plan, a visual, and try to work on it. Whatever comes out.
However simple, right?
It doesn't need to be a grand scheme. At least you tried.
Yeah.
At least you know next time you try to do it, you know at least what to do better and what not to do.
Check out June and Joy. Thank you so much for your time and having us in the studio. It's so beautiful.
Oh, thank
creative.
you. Thank you very much.
Absolutely. Show us everything. Thanks so much. Great time.
Great interview, Kyle. And our next guest tonight, Siobhan Fallon-Hogan. You recently won a music award with her at the New Jersey Garden State Film Festival, right?
That's right. I had the great pleasure of working with her. She's incredibly talented. She's done so much in the film industry, and I can't wait for you guys to meet her as well. My name is Kyle Ward, and I'm with my dear friend, Siobhan Fallon-Hogan, who is an unbelievably talented writer, actress, comedian, producer, 25 other things that we'll get into that I haven't mentioned. What's up, Siobhan?
Hi, Kyle. How are you?
I'm wonderful. It's so great to have you here.
I'm really happy to be here.
So why don't you tell me about the things I missed? Because you're all those things and so much more.
Oh, you're so great. Listen, what did you miss? That I can't stop eating during the pandemic?
Okay.
So if the camera has me looking large, your camera's working.
It's all right. No, I mean, so the COVID-19 pandemic hit, and I guess there hasn't been as many opportunities to be on set, right?
That's
so
right.
What have you done? How have you adapted and pivoted and kind of made do with that issue?
Luckily, first of all, I have so many friends who are, down and out. And oddly enough, like Screen Actors Guild, sending around like warnings, what are you going to do with no insurance? But luckily, I was in a good spot because I wrote a film called Rush. And a year ago right now, I was in France editing the movie because we filmed the movie in fall of 2019, and we edited in France with this fabulous editor named Sabine Emiliani, who did March of the Penguins and several other movies. And we finished editing. I mean, it's just, I swear to God, I must have some great guardian angel. On March 1st, I flew back to the United States with the intention of being home for 2 weeks. I was like, my daughter will be home for spring break. This will be great from college. March 13th, I fly to Denmark to do the sound. March 10th, we're in the city doing looping, which is, when you have trouble with sound in a film. And the actors are coming in, and the city's getting pretty empty. And I had a friend, Neil Pepe, who runs the Atlantic Theater Company, and he was directing a Broadway show, but he's an actor as well. Wears a lot of hats, like we do. And he came to do his looping for a scene that we needed some sound work on. And he left a Broadway show that he was directing with Sam Rockwell. And anyway, I'll be like, thank you so much for coming. 3 days later, everything shut down.
Yeah.
So luckily, because of modern technology, I was able to work with the sound designer, Christian Eidnitz Anderson, who's Lars von Trier's big sound designer, and we did everything remotely. Mm-hmm. So, I'm not very good with downtime. I have to kind of be doing something, artistic, yourself. Yeah. And so luckily I was busy for the beginning of the pandemic. We finished the sound edit, and the whole edit of the film, the mix was finished May 30th. And then, as we all thought, oh, it's got to be over by May 30th. Right. So, the bag of chocolate chips was there. Used to melt those every day and eat them in the microwave. Anyway, and like everyone else, my gosh, I thought this has to be over. Well, it's not over. I always wanted to write a film about a country singer.
Okay.
My father always said, Siobhan, you should be a country singer. And I was like, well, I don't really have the voice for it. So you have to be able to sing well to be a country singer. Anyway, so this story idea came to me about a man on death row and a woman who is a country singer. And long and short of it, I wrote another film. We're about to start filming in June, trying to stay positive like everyone else. And it's just a whole different game. Being an actress, there are down times when you don't have work and you're faking the have work. If people ask you at cocktail parties, like, what's going on? You're like, oh, I have something coming out.
Yeah.
But during the pandemic, actually, it became like we were the lucky ones because you can always create whether or not the world is going to work.
But we can be entrepreneurial, right? I had to adapt. There weren't so many gigs, so I started recording.
That's
you didn't
right.
have the opportunity to be on set so much, so you're writing. And
That's right.
That's going to be a fantastic
Yes.
movie. It's going to be great.
And you have to stay positive. And when you're working and you're being artistic, that's what feeds the artist. It's like a plant that hasn't had any water, and you're still being fed. And I guess as artists, you're young. My parents used to say, well, what about a paycheck? And you're thinking, oh, I didn't really think about that. I just wanted to be able to create something.
You're passionate about what you're
if you
doing.
get paid, you're lucky.
Right.
If you stay positive and do the work, pandemic or not, it's a great time to be an artist.
Absolutely. What are the things that really keep you motivated in these times? Obviously,
It's really interesting. The other day, someone asked me to coach a kid that was applying to get into NYU. So I did. And anyway, it turned out she said, "Oh, I auditioned for this woman, and she had a very beautiful accent." And sometimes I have this. This sounds insane, but I have this like what they call Irish fae, where I'm like, "Hey, I wonder." That's basically like the ESP. And so I was like, "I wonder if that could be this friend of mine from South Africa." I said, I didn't know she helped with NYU, but maybe she did. Anyway, long and short of, I texted her, I said, "You don't by any chance hear some of the audition kids that audition?" She said, "Yes, I do." Anyway, long and short of it is, her husband's an actor. And she said, "Oh, isn't this awful during the pandemic?" I said, "Wait a minute, I wrote this movie and we're starting to cast it." Matter of fact, Robert Patrick, who was in my first movie, from the Terminator, as you know, he's already committed to be in Rushed, Shelter in Place, which we're filming in May. Same with Perry Gilpin, who did Frasier. So I said, wait a minute, there's a part that I think might be really right for your husband. Not to sound like a goody-goody, but I do love helping people. Yeah. And I love helping actors because I do know what it's like to be like down and out and think. But so during this time, it's great to be able to say, "Hey, I wrote a script. How'd you like to read for it?" You know what I mean? That's awesome. Which is really nice. Or to help kids that want to be, actors.
This will tie into, what do you think is the future now for acting and for all this? I mean, for your upcoming shoot, what obstacles do you think you're going to have to face? Is it all going to be possible?
It's definitely possible. You have to be, it created a whole new job description for people I was actually up in Syracuse where we're going to shoot. And I talked to the head of the film commission there. His name is Eric Vanelli, he's a great guy. And he said, here's these people that loved movies, like a nurse, a doctor, an EMT. And now they're like, you know what? I'm leaving my day job and I work on sets. This one group of people up in Syracuse that were working on a film up there were called to a Leonardo DiCaprio movie down in Boston. Wow. So there's a whole protocol, and it's tricky. It adds to the budget. Yeah. Hopefully by May we'll be when we start shooting, a lot better place, with the vaccine. Right.
Hurry up and wait. You don't know. The deadlines keep getting pushed, and this happens, but life keeps happening. So
life keeps happening.
That's why you have your passion.
Well, and also, I really feel like movies are so important now because people need to escape. And music. You need to put your headphones on or go to the movies. Or I've gone to the movie theater. I've sat in the movies with my husband, just the two of us. It's like you're like a who down in Whoville. It's where is everybody?
But you want to feel normal. You want to.
Exactly.
That's why I think a lot of my clients, on top of loving music, they just want to be able to go to a studio and hang out and record and do music and do normal stuff and not have to worry about all that.
I literally think about someone like yourself who is in a band and a singer. Can you imagine this summer? It's going to be spring break on steroids for adults because we'd be so happy to get out to a theater. To a beach or a tavern or a theater, and just going to be walking around pinching ourselves. It's going to be look back, and people I think are going to really appreciate life a lot more. Because whoever thought a year ago when I flew home March 1st, I never forget. I went to this gym that I went to, which is really funny because I'm really not an exerciser. I like to think to I'd walk in, they'd be like, "Do you want a towel?" I'm like, "Oh, I'm not going to need a towel. I won't be here long enough to sweat." But anyway, so I said to this woman, she said, "I'm supposed to go to Florida with my grandchildren in April." This was March. And I said, "Oh, listen, I just flew out of Paris. It's fine." I mean, who knew? She was totally right and I was completely wrong. So now we're all going to be so happy to go anywhere. We have to look at the cup half full, not half empty, you know?
So looking towards the future, like you got the 2 movies.
Well, I want everyone to go to my film, Rushed. And then, they have this whole new thing called Day and Date. When it's in the theaters, then it will also be, I don't even know how to do things kids do. I couldn't watch a movie on iTunes. I wouldn't even know how to do it.
They're going to have it streaming and stuff?
Yes.
Yep.
So, yes, I want everyone to, and you can follow the movie too if you're an Instagram or Twitter person. My kids will be like, "Mom, that's not what you call it." If you're a Twitter person or an Instagram person,
what is it?
You can
It's
follow
Rushed?
at Rushed Movie.
Awesome.
So, we're trying to build our social media presence, and I guess that's very important.
Got it.
Yeah, and so I just hope people come out and see the movie, and then, once they realize the kind of filmmakers we are, then come and see the next movie as well.
Great times with Siobhan. Thank you so much. So great to learn from you and see what you've been doing.
Yes.
Looking forward to the future.
Yes, thank
Show
you,
us
Kyle.
everything. Absolutely. Thank you.
Creativity during the pandemic. This is Show Us Everything. What's up? It's Jimmy G. Dr. Minaminti. It's a pleasure to be interviewing here with the New Jersey State Youth Orchestra.
Thank you so much, Jimmy, for this opportunity.
Yeah, I do want to bring up immediately that, our phone call before this interview, you can tell you're passionate, you're excited, you love the kids. This is something very special to you.
For sure. Going back a few years, I was actually a product of youth orchestra myself, so this is something very close to my heart, and I love having the opportunity to bring programming to these kids.
A brief history for our viewers.
Sure. So the New Jersey State Youth Orchestra has been around since the 1970s. It actually started in 1972, where it was part of a larger organization, and then it split off and survived the parent organization. And we've been a grassroots organization since 1977. We're one of the last freestanding independent youth orchestras in the country.
Right now we're at Bellworks in Homedale. They were fortunate enough to give you this space, but where can people go see you outside of a pandemic?
Sure. We've had many iterations over the years. The last 5 years we've been actually at the Middletown Arts Center in Middletown, New Jersey, and that's where our rehearsal space is and some of our performances were.
What are some things that you've been unfortunately experiencing during this tough time?
So in general, the way that our rehearsals worked were that we would meet once a week, usually Thursday nights, and then some of the smaller groups would meet on the weekends. So in early March, all of a sudden there was silence on Thursday nights, right? Like it was something that if you could come and see, there'd be hundreds of students filling in our classrooms, all the hustle and bustle that was involved with it, and then all of a sudden there was silence. And we had to figure out, like so many other organizations and programs, what to do next. So we had to kind of think, like, what would we do? And I've had the great fortune of working with wonderful faculty. Our conductors and coaches are amazing. And they said, we can do this, and we could figure out another way to do it.
Over the phone, we were preparing for this interview, you talked about how the New Jersey State Youth Orchestra is a best kept secret, I guess you can say. Can you explain a little bit to our viewers what that means?
For sure. I mean, we've been around since the 1970s, and we still hear people like, what? We've never heard of you. Where do you play? Like, what is this? So it's really, quite a well-kept secret, and we hope we're not going to be such a well-kept secret that more people will know about us and listen to our music as going forward.
And leading up to the new year in December, you guys successfully had a pretty decent event.
So this year, like I said, has mostly been virtual, but we were able to put together a virtual performance. Our goal was to have the kids come together in some form and play together, have it recorded and then live streamed. But to have that happen, we had to really reach out to community partnerships to find a space where we could have the kids come and be socially distant and be able to play together in a large enough space that allowed that. And that led us here to Bellworks, which has been an amazing partnership for really introducing music to the community. I mean, really, this semester and this season couldn't have happened the way that it's happening without these community partnerships. And each time I put out the net, and so many people saying yes to space and to, I really call it space and spirit, because they have to have the generosity of spirit, the love of music, and have the space for us to come in. So some of our community partners have been, continue to be the Middletown Arts Center. We were actually able to film some of the students at Garmani Department Store in Red Bank, and then of course Bellworks.
That's exciting. And moving forward, what are some opportunities or things that the community can possibly help with, the New Jersey Youth Orchestra?
So we'd love for anyone who has students who are interested in classical music and play a classical instrument to know about us and really look into our programs, because that's what we are. We grow from 3rd grade on through 12th grade, and to really have that community of musicians join us and have people come to our performances and check us out on our social media.
Creativity during the pandemic, this is what this episode is titled, and playing music, creating music heals it mentally, physically. One of your students, unfortunately, was diagnosed with cancer, and she's been trying to make it work still with you and putting in the best effort to still make music.
Music is very, it's a healing aspect of life, I think, especially when you are in dark times and hard times in your own life or the global community. It really gives you that softer side of life, and it also gives you an opportunity to heal from within. And actually, one of our students is going through a rough time, and she's allowed us to share her story. She was diagnosed with non-Hodgkin's lymphoma in the fall, and she's undergoing treatment now. But she really, wants to be part of this, and I think having that virtual opportunity has allowed her to continue with the rehearsals and be an integral part of the group. So that's been very special.
That's wonderful to hear. Do you see, virtually again, being brought up in this interview, do you see the orchestra leading towards more virtual campaigns, I guess, or classes, in the future?
I mean, I think ideally, like I talked about the hustle and bustle of the orchestra and being in person, and ideally we'd like to get back to that format. But I think, really to look at silver linings during hard times, there's a lot of things that we can take away, right? With the smaller groups, doing things virtually, during inclement weather, we could still potentially have practice and also have the opportunity to showcase ourselves in different ways that we hadn't thought about before.
People are finding positives during this unfortunate time. What are some positives for the orchestra?
Going back to March, when things were very sort of dark and unknown, and everyone has different terminology for unprecedented times or dark times. I think especially in the New York, New Jersey area, we got hit first and hard. And just being the other side of what I do as a physician, really seeing that dark, troubled times, music really is a light. There was sort of a campaign within the hospital systems to play uplifting music when a COVID patient was discharged. And one of the pieces actually was Here Comes the Sun. And when I tasked our conductors to think about reimagining this in a way that we could do it with the orchestra, our conductor, Leo Sueda, he did an amazing job saying, yes, we can do this and we can figure it out. And having that in a virtual performance that we sent out as a thank you to the frontline workers, I think that was definitely something that highlighted what else we could do.
What is the goal moving forward and future plans for the New Jersey State Youth Orchestra?
Sure. We just want everybody to know about us in the area. I don't want to hear anymore that we're a well-kept secret. I want everybody to know about us. And really, it's the kids, really, first and foremost. It's their musicianship, it's their camaraderie, and it's their commitment.
Dr. Nanaminti, thank you so much for taking the time, and
of
can't
course.
wait to see the kids play today.
Yes, definitely. Thank you, Jimmy.
Conductor Leo, thanks so much for taking the time, and the kids sound great so far. Can't wait to see the whole thing.
Thanks for having us.
Absolutely. How long have you been a conductor and
So,
doing work here?
I've been with this group. I've been about 10 years now.
Is it exciting and exhilarating to see students grow throughout the years?
For sure, yeah. Some people have started. Some of these people I've actually known for about 10 years.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Music is always changing, and especially during a tough time like this. What have you seen differently from the start of the pandemic to now? How are you guys adapting musically?
For us, it was important for us to play uplifting music, as you said. So, for example, during the summer, we had to make students excited about even being online, because being online is a little bit, playing music online is a little tough. So I came up with a theme for the summer concert, and the theme was Living in 2020. And the 3 songs we chose were Help by Beatles.
Okay.
And Wake Me Up When September Ends by Green Day. And the last song we did was Staying Alive by Bee Gees.
That's awesome. What are we going to hear today?
We're going to play Here Comes the Sun.
We greatly appreciate coming on the show.
Thanks for having us.
This is going to wrap up, the season. And Kyle, we need to say thank you to all of the businesses and organizations that we had the pleasure to interview with and take the time. It's a tough period. It's a tough time. And during this pandemic, these organizations went out of their way. These businesses went out of their way to come on our show to do what's best for their customers and for the people around the entire state of New Jersey. So, thank you so much to all of the people and organizations and businesses who were a part of this show. Show Us Everything.
We want to thank the incredible generosity of Charlie Stone and C Stone Entertainment. And we also want to thank people like Xenia Cox for producing the show. We want to thank our film crew, Samantha Leonardis, Lynn Ward, all the amazing people who worked on our social media, worked behind the scenes to really get this off the ground and get it running.
Yeah, it really was a pleasure working, with this whole staff and being a part of, this show in the community. And for us, Kyle, you play music, I'm on the radio. Tune into 94.3 The Point, the Jersey Shore's hit music channel. You can catch my show 8 to midnight, Nights with Jimmy G. And I know you, Kyle, you're always playing shows around the community, doing
That's
great
right.
stuff.
You can catch me at a variety of venues. You can hit me up on my website, kylewardproductions.com. You can get in touch with me for recording, for lessons, for gigs, anything of that variety, or just keep in touch with us and our social media. Show Us Everything, right? See what we're doing, see what's cooking up for the future.
Exactly. We'll see what the future holds, but right now, all you have to do is just follow us on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram. Show Us Everything, and check out all the old episodes and be a part of this fun show. It's real, it's local, it's great for the community, and
that'll wrap it up. Everybody have fun, stay healthy, and please stay safe.